Well, good morning. Happy Monday. Excuse me. Happy Monday. Hope everyone is feeling good. Hope you are having an amazing day so far. We are here. It is the official first day of the new segment, Morning Inspiration with Friends. And I am your host, Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. So these are going to be quick conversations, probably less than 30 minutes. So I like to respect everyone's time. But as always, I want to just, like I said, introduce myself in this new segment where we just talk about different topics, help you to build your faith, your relationship with God, have opportunity to really reflect on your healing journey or activate that healing journey and just get you on that path of purpose. So those are going to be the common themes in these conversations. But we're live every day, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. Central Time on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I decided to add Instagram back because, again, it's patience, right? This is what the topic is called. Today's conversation is patience. And this is one of the things, even Instagram is a patience for me today. So let's talk about it. So I literally over the weekend, no, not over the weekend, yesterday. Yesterday I kept seeing so many messages about patience, right? Either people have admitted that they were in situations where they know that they should have been more patient. And it was just like it was just like God, because I kept on asking God, like, hey, what am I going to talk about tomorrow? Trying to like prepare a little bit. And it was just like that was the common theme. And the last thing that I saw was a post that made reference to the scripture, Isaiah, what's that? Isaiah 60, verse 22. When the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen. And I think that for many people, that's one of the challenges when it comes to patience. We don't want it when God wants it for us. We want it when we want it. And I trust you. I understand this. This has been one of my struggles with most of my life, mainly because when I was growing up, I was always spoiled. Like, I'm not even going to lie. My mother, my sister, my godmother, my godparents, they spoiled me. If I wanted something, I never really had to wait unless it was probably waiting until somebody got paid that Friday. But I typically could just go and get it. And growing up, as I got to my 20s, and I understood that that's not always going to be possible. Still what I wanted, but it was not going to be possible. So I had a lot of disappointing moments, times that I was just angry because I didn't get what I wanted. And then as I got into my 30s and I started to build that relationship with God, that's when it actually got a little bit easier because I started to understand through reflection and just through what I was seeing, how sometimes moving too quick or, wanting what you want when you want it instead of when God needs for you to have it does not always work out in your favor and is not always a positive outcome. Or sometimes you just miss out on something better because you just want what you want right now. So I just feel like because I kept seeing all of these different references, I mean, from people just jumping the gun with relationships and, talking to God and asking God for different clarity and for answers. And they just like, you know what, God, I'm going to just go and do it my way. I'm going to do it how I want to do it because this is what I want. And then they reap the consequences of that. And so that's why for me, I was like, no, we can't do this anymore. Like if you really want what God wants for you, then you are gonna have to go out there and do it the way that God needs for you to do it. And that might just mean for you to sit down and wait. Okay. So if you struggle with any form of patience, if you lack patience, some of us might be good in patience in certain areas of our lives, and then a lot of people might be really bad in other areas of their lives because they just don't know how to deal with that. So today I want to talk about 3 different things that you can do just kind of like break down and give you a better understanding of patience and what you could do or, how this can actually benefit you in the long run. So we always hear delayed doesn't mean that it's denied. And I know it's very cliche. You probably hate hearing this, but I'm going to just tell you this much. When we are operating in God's timing, that is going to be the best timing. And sometimes it's going to feel like it's the slowest thing. You're going to feel like, well, come on, man, like, I just need it right now. I just want it right now. I want it right now. But no, that might not be what God needs for you to have. You really have to wait and be patient. You have to wait and be patient to when He desires for you to have it. We have to remember God sees the end, right? He sees the end first. So He already knows what's going to happen. Okay. And if He knows what's going to happen, then that means that He knows everything that's going to lead up to that. So why wouldn't you want to trust that? See, we can go about it in our human world and our logic, and we can sit here and go at any aspect of it, and we can go and get into the biggest mess because it was like, well, I need it right now. We're being hasty. We don't need to do that. And so, and I think I always share different experiences of just moving too fast, not being patient enough. And, I always think about the situation when I was looking for a job back in 2016 and was this close, like really this close to going the wrong direction because I was just being so quick. I wanted what I wanted, and I wanted it the way I wanted it to look like. And so when I was in that space, God kept telling me, He led me to the position that He wanted me to take. But it didn't look like how I wanted it to look. It didn't pay the way that I desired, or actually the way that I felt. My human self felt I deserved XYZ amount. That's what my human self. But God said, this is what I want you to, this is what I want you to do. This is where I want you to be. You're going to go there. And so I did do that. But then I also kept having opportunities come in at that same exact time. And I'm thankful that I did not go that direction because the bigger thing that I needed was I needed money to save my place because I was in the process of potentially going into foreclosure. And literally not understanding and thinking that this money is going to come in a different way, thinking that it's going to be like a mysterious person who's just going to walk up to me in the streets and say, hey, Tanisha, I heard that God said to give you XYZ amount of dollars. That's what I thought it was going to be. And that was not what it was. But it was not delayed. I mean, it was delayed, but I was not denied. Right. So I was delayed. It kept on taking a long time. And I do believe that God was testing me to see, is she going to go with one of these other jobs after I told her what to do? I done gave her the answer. I told her what to do. He didn't tell me what was going to be the outcome of it. He just had me over there and he was like, just wait. Right. So I want you to really think about that. So the second thing is that so many times we try to rush the process and we don't realize that it's very dangerous when we are trying to rush God's process, especially if you have invited God to go on this journey with you. Don't invite God to go on this journey with you if you are going to do it your way no matter what. Like, it's just not going to work out for you. If you are trying to rush this process, you're trying to put your deadlines on God, you're trying to put your end results on Him, it's not going to work out in your favor. It's literally going to be a downfall. I guarantee you that. And when I say that, so many times we try to settle for less because, you know what, at least it's something. We see this in jobs, we see this in relationships, right? We see this in moving. Sometimes people just want to move. I just want to move out, right? And they go into these situations that they cannot afford because it's just like, I just want this. Or they go, like I said, they go into a job like I almost did and taking a job that God did not say take. And if I would have done that, I guarantee you, I still would not have my place in New York. I will probably still be in recovery mode because of that. So I want us to get to that understanding where we just have to wait and we just got to understand that sometimes it is going to be dangerous. And I know what the outcome of that rushing process is. I've experienced that. So, like I said before, we see this a lot in relationships. There are so many people who do not wait for God to say yes. They don't wait for God to say, go ahead. This is the person. I need you to be with this one. A lot of us don't even consult God. We don't have any conversations with him. We don't get his stamp of approval, and then we get upset. And now we end up in these unhealthy, toxic relationships that we now have to we spend years in them and take years to get out of them, or we end up spending years to heal from them. And, I had like my first grown up relationship after college. When that person and I broke up, we broke up in 2009. And 2010, I met my ex, right? The guy who was after him. I met him. And one, I never went to God because, again, I didn't know this, right? And sometimes when you just don't know, it's like, okay, cool, you don't know, and you end up having to go through that journey. But this is why we're having this conversation, so that if you are in that space, if you find yourself in one of those predicaments, you will understand it's better to wait and talk to God about it and get some level of confirmation from him, instead of just going out there and doing the things that you want the way that you want to do them. And so, had no conversations with God, and I remember so clearly the day he asked me to be his girlfriend. I had this feeling like when the words came out of his mouth, it was like my stomach. It just was like, and we're standing outside, like, and I was fine up until that moment, and it just felt like I had to poop so bad. Like, if you don't get upstairs and use this bathroom, it's gonna look really bad for you out here. And I never understood, like, why was that? Like, why did I have that experience? It was so weird to me because it's not something that I've ever heard people talk about. I've experienced that before, but again, when you just don't know, you don't realize what that was. And so I didn't listen. That was the Holy Spirit telling me no. That was a clear no. And I ended up into that relationship, one of the most unhappiest relationships that I've ever been in. Ended up getting pregnant by him. I had no clue as to the lifestyle that he really had. Not like DL type of thing, but he was pretty much lying to me about, you know, most of the things in his life. And I had no clue. And so when I went into prayer finally, because now I'm getting to the end of this, but this is also the beginning of my relationship with God. And and I'm praying and I'm talking to God about this relationship. And then one of the first times I ever heard God say, I never said yes, right? I never said yes to this connection. And so that started to give me peace about the miscarriage. And I was just like, okay, God, I understand. And when we finally broke up, that was when, like, I found out everything about him. And I was just like, wow, like, if I could just imagine if I would have gone into this with God, I probably would have saved myself all of this level of aggravation. I guarantee you. But sometimes we're just so impatient. And I have really liked him. I thought he was a very attractive guy, smooth talker. And I just fell into, and thankfully it wasn't abusive to the point where he was laying hands on me. He did, like, the day that I broke up with him, he did, like, push me into the wall and things of that nature. But that was because it was the end. Like, I was not going back. There was no turning back for me. So, that was just like even more icing on the cake. If not, it was the cherry on the cake, because I knew for a fact I was making the right decision. But it was unhealthy and it was dangerous to the point where I was being manipulated and I was allowing myself to be gaslit about a lot of different things that I really think, when I think back now, I'm like, girl, you should have seen that. But because I was so impatient, because I was missing a connection, I didn't do the proper healing from that previous relationship. I went into, some people just have this mindset of, well, if I'm single for a long time, then I'm healed. No, you could just be stuck. You could just still be stuck. So many people have done that, have gone 2, 3, 5, 10 years and haven't done any healing in regards to that previous connection or any previous connection. And so that was something that I had to learn. And now it's like, I probably learned it really well, because it's to the point now where I'm like, Dad, I don't even let anyone into my life because I just be so focused. And I'm just like, hey, Bola, good morning. I just be so focused, but I'm just like, all right, God, I just got to stay, I can't let the feeling of lonely or feeling like alone or, now I'm seeing a lot of people talk about, I miss being cuddled and stuff like that. Patience is coming because so many times we allow that thirst for that connection to come into our life, and then we just cling on to anything. And a lot of times anything is just that. It could be anything good, and it could be anything bad. We don't know what that is. So that's why I say the more that we get closer to God and we have that conversation, we just have so much faith. Like, all right, God, I'm gonna be patient. So this is why, like in Dear Single in Love, I do talk about, one of the first things that if you, especially with someone that you have an interest in, we should really, for anyone, God, did you send this person into my life? Right. And I think if we just get into a habit of doing that, we start to see that sometimes people are just going to cross our lives and it's not meant to be for us for a lifetime. It might not even be for a full season. You might just need to meet that person, get that one message from that person and move on with your life. It's not supposed to be like a definite, ongoing standing connection. But because you want that, right, and you have that desire, this is why we end up in these connections. So both say, yep, I know. So focus, faith and focus. And that's going to be my third thing, right? Faith. Faith in the in-between season, right? Now, this is a hard one for many people to do. And I remember doing a workshop on this a couple of years ago, what to do when you are waiting. And I do talk about patience and Dear Single in Love in regards to waiting, but we can use this same concept for any aspect, right? Anything that you are praying for, you're waiting for, and it's come. Like, we have to believe that it's coming. You have to tell yourself it is coming, whatever you are, right? Student loan forgiveness, it's coming. The new car, it's coming. The relationship, the love, the marriage, the children, it's coming. But what do you do in the in-between? And that is where many people are. They're really, really lacking because they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do when they're idle, right? So it's like you have this big desire, you're really yearning for it, you're wanting it, and then you're like, but God needs to hurry up. God is not going to move on your time. But I want you to really embrace the waiting season. Whatever that is, it could be a year, it could be 5 years, it could be 15, 20 years. It is still your waiting season. God is going to tell you when that waiting season is over. So what are you going to do to help yourself not be frustrated? To not sit there and keep focusing on what you don't have and what hasn't happened yet. Right. So now you're having doubt. Now you're sitting here doubting what God can do. Are you sure God can do this? You sure this is going to ever happen? Trust me, I've been sitting here, right? I've been sitting here waiting for my student. 2022, that's when they did the borrower's defense, right? I submitted that application August 2022. It is still pending. Still pending. And I'm seeing people post theirs got approved, and guess what? I'm celebrating for them. I'm like, yes, I'm so happy for you, because guess what? There's no need for me to be shady. It's not like I got denied. I'm still in the pending. So I'm in this long waiting season. Okay. We're talking about 2.5 years of just waiting. But I can't get frustrated. I can't get defeated. I can't throw in the towel because God hasn't thrown in the towel. God hasn't said no. So what do I do in the meantime? Celebrate other people who are having similar experiences that I'm waiting for. That's hard for many people. Celebrating others who are getting what you are praying for, and you are being thankful for them, you are happy for them. That's also going to be a test of your heart in this season, and helping you to really understand that it's not going to. I've asked the questions and what I've seen in this season, opportunities to serve. Yes, and we're gonna definitely touch on that, because that's actually the main thing that we should be doing, right? Is finding a way to serve, right? And this is where we activate. We use our gifts. We use our purpose. I always want y'all to think back to Ruth, right? Not the Ruth and Boaz story. What was Ruth doing? She was working, right? She was in that case, she was working, she was serving to make sure that her and Naomi had what they needed. She was out there. She done lost everything. right? And she's hoping that God is going to send her that next husband that's going to come in. But she's out there like, you know what? I can't sit here and mope and groan. Let me go out here and do something. So yes, you should go out there in this season volunteering, working on a purpose project, writing the book, working on your artwork, whatever it is that you truly love to do or that God is calling you to do in that season, that is what you should be doing, right? Sometimes you don't know what that is, and sometimes you haven't heard God say it yet. That's why I say just getting out there and being active, right? Being active is not going to get you, it's going to have you getting out your house and out your head. It's going to get you out your house and out your head. Because if you're in your head, what are you doing? You're thinking about what you don't have. You're thinking about when is it going to come. But if you go out there and you go do Meals on Wheels, like up here in Tulsa, we have a place called Dream Center. They have so many opportunities. If you want to go work the front desk, if you want to go sort out the donation clothes. I know like the first year that I got here for Christmas, I went there to wrap Christmas gifts, right? There's so many different ways to serve. Find the way that's going to work for you, right? So that means if you're in the church, find a ministry. My friend Bola, she's here with us on Instagram. Bola, I know that she does ministry and she has like a group. That's the way to serve. You can get so many different things. Bola said, I'd rather focus my energy to serve than to be in my head. That's why. That's what we need to be doing. You got to shift that focus. Take it off the problem. God already knows it's there. He's like, yeah, I know. Like, he's just like, but you can't sit here. Like, just imagine being a farmer. Farmers plant these seeds. Do you think they sit there and watch them seeds grow? They have to do other things. They're preparing for other parts, for other aspects, right? They got to prepare the space for when the crops do grow. Now they got to clear. They might have to clear out that closet or clear out the shed so that when those crops do grow, they have some place to go. They have to maybe get the vehicle together because the vehicle now needs to be transported. There's so many different things that we can be doing instead of sitting there looking at the problem or looking at what we're waiting for, and we're just sitting here like, so when is it coming? When is it coming? Because I do believe that when we do that, God is like, I'm gonna just keep on delaying it. Like, you want to rush me? Cool. I'm gonna just delay it a little bit more. Not a problem. The other things that we can be doing, you can be working out, praying, fasting, journaling. There's so many different ways. This is really the time that you do want to connect with God. Because you're literally saying to God, all right, God, I gave you this problem, this expectation that I have. I know that you said that, you're going to give me the desires of my heart. I know that it's coming, whatever this is. And so, God, what can I do? And the more that you spend time with God, you can start with 5 minutes a day in prayer. And then whatever you're praying about, just ask God for a download and just start to write. Just start to write. And you start to realize ideas start to pop up. Confirmation starts to come up, right? You really have to understand that. I think he's working on our heart to prepare us for what he has for us. Yes. And I often say, and I said it in the beginning of this point, is that he does want to test our heart. What does your heart look like in that waiting season, right? So many people, sometimes God will see the true essence of a person because he would know, like, you're not serious about this relationship with me. You just want to treat me like he's a magician. He's just gonna pull this rabbit out the hat, and it's like, no, or we're certainly I'm up here saying certainly, and I'm reading what Bola saying. I'm certain that the person I am from the first time I asked, girl. I forgot what time you came on, but I was talking about that before. The way that I waited, and I had lack of patience. I never had patience. I think about a lot of different moments in my life where I was so impatient. I was, I remember like when I got laid off from one of my jobs. Well, I only got laid off once, knock on wood, in my life. And that was 2007. 2007, I think. Was Jada born? I can't remember. But 2007, or back then, I got laid off from my job and ended up, I got unemployment. And, I think unemployment runs for like 6 months. I think I was on unemployment for like 2 months. I took the first job. I didn't have a need. I didn't need to take this job, right? I didn't need to take the first job, but I did. Worst decision of my life, right? It was the lowest amount of money that I ever made. And at that time, I did have a master's. And it was just like everything was just going wrong because I couldn't wait. I had no patience. So I know the way that I waited before and the way that I wait now is definitely an improvement. But I also know that God did have the one I got that relationship. When we started getting tight, 2012, that's when God and I really started getting tight. That's when I started to understand. The more that I read the Bible, the more that I heard other people's testimony about whether or not if when they did become impatient and they took actions in their own hands, how that didn't work out. And then the ones that when they learned their lessons and they started saying, okay, I'm going to trust God and I'm going to do things, and how everything worked out. And they got better than what they prayed for. They got more than what they prayed for. It was just like, okay, confirmation for me. Like, this is what I had to learn. And so now when I'm waiting, I'm not anxious. I'm not sitting here like, I don't check my student loans. That thing, the only time that I might go in and say, okay, maybe they forgot to send me an email, is like when I see people just randomly on social media share that especially for this particular program. I'm not just talking about overall student loan forgiveness, like this particular borrower's defense. And then I might go in there and say, okay, but then when I still see pending, I don't get upset. I'm not anxious. I'm not angry. I'm not frustrated. Okay, cool. They still haven't gotten to my case to make a final decision. Cool, God, not a problem. Still in your hands. I'm gonna keep moving. Now let me go over there and work on, tomorrow's session for morning inspiration with friends. I cannot sit here and be this feeling, and I don't want to get back to the space of being angry at God, like I'm mad at God and God didn't do it this way and he's been taking forever. No, nope. I'm thankful. I cannot wait. I'm thanking him in advance. Like, we really just got to get to this action of thanking him in advance and just being so understanding that we know that he's going to just keep doing amazing things. And in the process of that, I'm gonna go out here and I'm just gonna keep doing what he's asking me to do, whether that is do ministry, whether that is working on a project, or I'm just out here just getting healthy, drinking my water, and eating some delicious fruit. Whatever. Everyone has a different situation, and I already know what we're gonna talk about tomorrow, but we'll talk about that tomorrow because it is in relation to this. But I hope that if you are praying and you're waiting for something, I hate to say to be patient and it's going to happen in God's time, but it is. And if you're feeling that frustration because you don't want to hear those types of things or you don't like the cliche statements, then this is where I encourage you to spend that time with God. Ask God, God, send me a scripture that's going to confirm this, because he will do that. God, send me a message that's going to confirm this, because he will do that. Or God, can you just give me a peace? What should I be doing instead while I'm waiting for fill in the blank to come into my life? He is going to give you those instructions. But I want to tell you, once he gives you those instructions, please follow them, right? There's no need. And I know, like, parents, I know parents definitely can understand. As a teacher, I totally understand this. When I give my students instructions, right? Clear instructions. You tell them exactly what to do, and then they go out there and do what they want to do, and then come back to you like you're the problem. No, I told you what to do. And that's what God is also trying to get you to do as well. He knows. He knows better than all of us. So we just got to get to that point of just being patient, right? And if you do not, then that's the prayer I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray for you to be patient, to be kind, to be excited. If you are seeing, again, like I said earlier, if other people around you are getting what you're praying for, I need you to be excited. That's going to show God that where your heart is, right? Your heart is still hopeful. Your heart is still excited about what is coming. You're still expecting this to work out the way that you want it to work out, and or better. You're giving him room to do all of the amazing things that our big God can do, because he can do all things, right? So Bola, I'm going to end on here. Bola said, yes, wait on the Lord. Oops. Oh, okay. I could pin comments. Oh, okay. Wait on the Lord and he'll renew your strength. That's it. We have to wait on him. So I understand when the world doesn't understand that, but this is why, like I said, I really do feel like my purpose, a part of my purpose, is to help people to get to that point, right? Get to that point where you are so dependent on, that you are so dependent on what God is going to do, that it's just like you just let your life just go. You just be like, look, I'm good. I know I'm good because I know what he's gonna do. He's gonna do it the way that he's going to do it, because he's a big God, and I can't do it the way he can. Right. And I had to learn that. And I know a lot of people, when they talk about that, that was the one lesson that they had to learn. So I just wanted to end that. Bola left us with Psalms 27:14 as another scripture for reference. So go ahead. That might be another confirmation for us. So let's make sure that we are focusing on that. So I'm gonna end here. In the caption, the description below, you will see my LinkedIn. My LinkedIn will have the links to my books, my community, my courses, my blogs. If you want to get in contact with me, I will have some amazing updates very soon for those who are in New York and even those that are here in Tulsa. Again, if you missed last week, Thursday was the last day of my 21-day live that I gave. I gave myself a challenge to get myself back visible, back online, doing social media, doing my lives, connecting with you all. So one, I say thank you for being here. If you are watching the replay, #replay. But then also for those that are, finding purpose in this, if I just ask for one thing, you can like this message and you can share this message. Share it with one person, okay? Maybe 5 people. Someone out there that you might know is out here struggling with some patience, okay? Or people who just need some form of inspiration. This is the place that they can come to be inspired, because that's what I do. I am Miss Inspiration, okay? So I'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Central Time, 8 a.m. Eastern. And for everyone out there, please have an amazing day on purpose, with purpose. Don't let anything get in your way. Don't let anything, move you. Just go out there and keep doing amazing things. And if you don't know what those amazing things are, they already told you what to do. It's time for you to get in prayer and sit under God and get some instructions so you can go out there and know what's your next move. That's the only encouragement. I'm not going to tell you what your next move is. He's going to give you those instructions between you and him. But I'm encouraging you to start having that conversation, because that is what is most important. So I am your girl, Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. Thank you for spending some time with me. And again, like I said, I will see you tomorrow.